Okay guys, you all remember Jacob Rees Mogg, leader of the House of Commons and Brexiteer, a man who before now has always spoke at least a bit more sense than most politicians, and before now I had not actually seen him blatantly lie to the British people that I can remember. I could be wrong, but off the top of my head I can't think of a time he has. Today, obviously, that has now changed. He came out with something so provably false, it's actually laughable. He claimed the government has asked for or been given the consent of the British people when it comes to lockdowns, closing their businesses and stopping people from seeing their families. Yes, he actually said they got our consent. You know what? Just take a listen for yourself before I explain just how much bullshit this disingenuous fuckpig comes out with in less than a minute.
I also think it was very important and right the whole way through that the government has always been reluctant to restrict people's freedoms and has wanted life to be as normal as possible, and only restricted it when it has had to do so. And that if we'd had a different type of government that had sort of taken glee in restricting people's freedoms, I don't think you would have had the consent that we have seen to the restrictions that have been imposed. And I think as a country, we have broadly accepted the restrictions consensually rather than having them coerced upon us. And I think that's really important, and I think it's made it easier for people to accept the restrictions and for the good ordering of society.
Right, so he's trying to insinuate that Boris Johnson got consent from the British people in relation to these restrictions that we're living under, and that consent for their measures would be far lower had the Labour Party won the election in 2019. Which, of course, when it comes to the Labour Party, that may well be true. No one is going to listen to them because no one voted for them. But if they had won, obviously some people would have, though it would have been a protest vote against something the Tories done. Though realistically, I can't see most people doing that. Labour are unelectable at this point. But of course, there has been no consent given or even asked for, let's be honest. The government did not ask us how best to deal with this situation. They did not ask any of the small business owners if they consented to having their businesses closed down. They did not ask anyone if they consented to the government deciding who could and could not see their family. And they certainly did not ask our consent when they made almost everything illegal over the past year. Having the consent of the people does not require the government passing lunatic laws North Korea or China would be proud of, so they can stop us from meeting at the park, seeing our family, opening your pub, clothes shop, or just sitting on a park bench and enjoying the day. And let's be honest, Mogg is not stupid. He knows the people do not consent to this. And he also knows them passing laws to stop people doing pretty much anything is the complete opposite of asking for or having consent in any way. As a matter of fact, I would say the people of China currently have more freedoms than we do in the United Kingdom. Think about that for a moment. Now finally, consent of the people does not require the government to put out a scaremongering campaign which they have admitted to doing in order to increase the public's sense of mortal danger. So, like good little sheeple, they do what the government tells them to do. Coercive control, bullying and general shitweasel behaviour this government has done in the last year proves beyond any doubt that they do not have the consent of the people in the fucking slightest. You have the compliance of brain-dead sheeple and those who do not want to break the law even if they think these laws are batshit crazy. You do not have consent and you bloody know it. Now, another thing I have to take issue with is the lie that Boris Johnson has only taken action when he has needed to do so, despite the fact that Lockdown 2 proves you to be lying because the data used to justify that lockdown was proven false within an hour of it being released. You all might remember the government went ahead with that lockdown anyway, proving what he said there to be a complete and utter load of bollocks. And to be honest with you, the whole segment here that I have just shown you is literally just him talking complete, uncontained bullshit, not based in reality at all. It's almost on par with the fantasies that was coming out of the Lib Dems in 2019 when they said that Joe Swinson was going to be the next Prime Minister. Now, I would be interested to know how many of you the government got consent for any of this from, because he certainly didn't get it from me, and from what I can tell from comments on previous videos, he didn't get it from many of you.
There is a pattern consistent throughout history of oppressed people turning on the oppressors, slaves against their owners, the peasantry against the feudal barons, colonies, Mr. Verhofstadt, against their empires, and that is why Britain is leaving. And it doesn't matter which language you use, we are going and we are glad to be going. We're off.